In today's video, I'm going to give you 6 tips to build rapport. It doesn't matter whether it's with your colleagues, with clients, with suppliers, or even with your family or new friends. This video will definitely help you.
Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. Thank you very much.
My name is Alastair McTavish. I'm an internationally certified soft skills trainer. I've delivered training to thousands of people in more than a dozen countries around the world. This channel aims to help you take your soft skills, communication skills, and leadership skills to the next level. So, 6 tips how to build rapport. Tip number 1 is match the key words of the other person. So this comes from neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. Not sure if you've heard of that, but if you want to find out more, just Google it or check on YouTube. You'll find a lot of videos on NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. So in order to build a good rapport, if we use some of the similar words that the other person uses back to them, then it makes us feel a connection. We feel connected to the other person. It all goes back to the principle of we like people like us. Yeah, we like people who are like us. So if you're from Manchester and you meet someone on night out or at a meeting and you ask them, where are you from? And they say, oh, I'm from Manchester. Oh, I'm from Manchester too. You feel a connection, you've got something in common. Let me give an example. If you are talking to a colleague or a client and they mention to you they want this project to be completed efficiently. Now, efficiently. They didn't say effectively, they didn't say productively, they said efficiently. So if you want to build rapport, build a strong connection, you can use that word back to them. You could say, I understand you want this project to be completed efficiently. We're going to do everything in our power to ensure that it's finished on time, on spec, and on budget, and that it is completed efficiently. In this way, it shows that you are listening to the other person carefully, and there's a good chance it's going to help you to build that rapport. So next time you're communicating with other people, whether it's a client or a colleague, listen out for 1 or 2 key words. If you are sitting down in a meeting, you can take notes, write some key words, and when you listen to your potential client or your boss or your colleague, try and use some of these keywords back. Or if you are writing a proposal to sell a product or a service to a client, you can actually write these keywords in your proposal or indeed in an email. So tip number 1, match the keywords of the other person to help build rapport. So tip number 2 to build rapport is match the body language of the other person. If your customer is sitting quite far forward on their seat, you could just subtly match that style. And instead of sitting back, you could also subtly sit forward. So you both have a similar body language. There's a lot of scientific research which shows when we are in rapport, if, for example, you subtly move forward to match the body language of the other person, and then afterwards you change your body language, you move back, often the other person will also move back because you are in rapport. Now, you don't want to make this too obvious. You know, they scratch their nose, you scratch your nose, it could get a bit silly. To be honest, I don't use this technique much myself. I have tried it, but I do know it's very popular. So you can experiment a little bit. So just subtly match the body language of the other person. Well, actually, I think one thing you definitely can do, if you notice somebody has their hands behind their back when they're talking, you could also have your hands behind your back. You know, I don't usually recommend this. I think to build a good rapport, it's much better to have your hands out in front of you and have nice, open and friendly gestures. But yeah, subtly matching body language can also be a good strategy. So tip number 2 to build rapport is match the body language of the other person. Tip number 3, talk less and listen more. You can check out one of the videos I've already made about how to improve your listening skills, but in order to build rapport, we find that some people just talk about themselves all the time. I did this, I did that, I like this, but they're not actually listening to the other person. Nowadays, there are so many distractions with mobile phones and entertainment, Netflix, YouTube, etc., etc. Actually, being a good listener is not easy. I'm sure you'd agree with that. So if you want to build effective rapport with somebody, just try talking a little bit less and listening a little bit more. A good strategy to do this is to ask open questions. I will make a video in the future about the difference between open and closed questions and why they're so important. But when you ask an open question, it is an opportunity to get the other person to speak. So an example of an open question could be, how was your holiday? What was it like? In this way, you're inviting the other person to speak more about themselves. And when we let somebody talk, we listen to them carefully. This is a great way to build rapport. So tip number 3, talk less, listen more. Tip 4 to build rapport with anybody is to compliment the other person. We all like to hear compliments. We all like people to tell us we do things well rather than we do things badly. So if you want to build rapport with somebody, just give them a nice compliment. You know, you've got to be careful in terms of clothes. Some people might take things personally, but it could just be, oh, well done on that project. I heard you won that deal. Well done. That's a really good achievement. You know, it should make people feel good. I'm sure there's some scientific evidence that says when we compliment other people, there's some sort of chemical reaction in the body that makes people feel happy, makes people feel satisfied. A little bit like when you go for a run, you get a so-called runner's high. So tip number 4 to build rapport with other people is compliment them. Tip number 5 is say thank you. It seems very simple, and I'm from the UK and we like to say thank you a lot, possibly too much. I always tell my mum that she says thank you too much, but it's definitely something we teach to our children. And if somebody has done something for us, it could just be sending us some information we needed via email. It could just be supporting us with something or giving us help on a project. Just don't forget to say thank you. You know, don't say it too much, but take any opportunity to just say, oh, thanks again for your help with that project. Thanks again for sending me that information. So you could thank them via email to help build rapport, or of course, face to face or on the phone. So tip number 5 to help you build rapport is don't forget to say thank you. And the last but not least, tip number 6 to build rapport with anybody is be a better listener. You know, tip number 3 was talking less and listening more. But if you don't just listen to what people are saying, but you actually try to understand people and try to put yourself in their shoes, there's a lot more chance that you're going to listen a lot more deeply, a lot more carefully to what they're saying, and they will feel like you really care about them, care enough to listen. You don't cut them off, for example. You don't start talking about your issues, your ideas when they are trying to explain something. You know, being a good listener is hard nowadays. It's really hard. So it's something you've got to work at. So an important part of being a better listener is improving your self-awareness. What do I mean by self-awareness? Well, that's your understanding of yourself. Maybe when somebody's talking to you, you start getting a bit bored, or you want to check your phone. Maybe you received an email or a message on social media and you want to check it. Or try to just put those kind of distractions aside and focus 110% on the person who's speaking. Tip number 6 to build rapport is be a better listener. So to sum up, these 6 tips to help you to be a better listener in your life, whether it's at school, at work, with your team, with your family, the 6 tips are as follows. Number 1, match the keywords of the other person. Number 2, match the body language of the other person. Number 3 is talk less and listen more. Tip number 4, compliment the other person. Tip number 5, don't forget to say thank you when somebody helps you. And tip number 6 is practice being a better listener. It is a skill that you can improve and practice. And if you practice, you will get better, just like any skill. Now, I hope you're going to implement some of these strategies starting today or starting tomorrow, because when we listen to advice, we listen to someone speaking, we might be engaged and think, that's a useful idea. I'm going to try that. But if we don't actually implement and take action soon, very quickly we tend to forget ideas, because it's just information overload nowadays in 2020. So it would be great if you could write in the comments, which of these 6 tips are you going to try and do more of? You know, many things in life we know, but we don't do. So please write in the comments, which of these 6 tips are you going to try and do a bit more of, either at home, either at work, with customers, colleagues, or clients or suppliers. If you found this video useful, please give it a like, please write a comment and subscribe to this channel. We've got a lot more videos coming to help you take your soft skills, communication skills, and leadership skills to the next level. See you on the next one.